Big things tend to come in small packages. Just ask my wife. Which is why today, ladies and gentlemen, we are building in the brand new ASUS Prime AP201, a stylish 33-liter Micro-ATX case with all mesh side panels, which are toolless. What makes this case so special is that it can support up to 360mm radiator, as well as a full ATX power supply, which means we can cram some big, powerful components inside such a tiny body. Something I often do on the weeknights, but we're gonna see if this is able to handle a 12900K and an RTX 3080. Let's begin. So this build is actually for a very special someone. I can't reveal who just yet, but if you guys have seen the unboxing videos, then you probably have a pretty good idea of who it's for. So the case technically supports a Micro-ATX motherboard, but I am going to be going with the Z690i from ASUS instead, just because I love all the extra features it comes with. And typically, it's like the enthusiast choice when it comes to high-end, small form factor builds, especially high-end water-cooled builds. You'll probably see an ASUS Mini ITX motherboard inside those builds. Now for the CPU, we are going with the 12th gen i9 12900K. Obviously, I want to try and pack as much power as I can in here comfortably without it affecting thermals. ASUS was kind enough to send in a fresh 12900K CPU, so shout out to your ASUS. All right, let's pop this bad boy inside here. I literally just finished another build with a 12900K inside the LAN-cooled 3 case. In case you guys missed it, check it out. And I am having issues putting this on. I was right the first time, all right. All right, so we do have 2 DIMM slots to work with. We're gonna occupy both of them with a 32GB kit from Corsair. We are going with the Vengeance DDR5 5600 MHz rated kits. I don't care too much for RGB. Honestly, I'm just going more for performance than aesthetics for this build. I mean, it's still gonna look amazing, obviously, but I'm not too focused on RGB. As you guys can tell, there's no RGB on these RAM sticks. That is the wrong way. I am seriously like, I'm not on top of my game today. Starting with the CPU and now the memory sticks. Man, I literally just finished a build yesterday too. Maybe I need to take a break. All right, there you go. These actually look really clean. First time I'm using them in a build. All right, my forehead, or top of my head is cut off, but you know what? I don't feel like going back there and adjusting the angle, so I'm just gonna squat for this scene. So for storage, we are going with a 1TB M.2 SSD from Corsair. This is the MP600 Pro XT with crazy read and write speeds. 1TB should be enough for whoever's getting this PC. Should be enough for the operating system, and up to 5, 6, maybe 7 games, depending on what the size is on those. And for the first time ever, guys, I'm actually gonna be installing Windows 11. I had a chance to play around with it on my friend's PC, and man, does that look clean, you guys. I know it's got a lot of bugs and issues, but I'm willing to take the risk and upgrade it because I like it. I'm actually gonna put Windows 11 on my main PC as well. Which, by the way, if you guys wanna grab a Windows 11 key, you can do it over at yourcitykey.com or by clicking my link below. You can grab it for just $21 by putting in my code TS20. The same code works for Windows 10 Pro key as well. Damn, look at these stacked M.2 slots, you guys. ASUS definitely knows how to jam-pack as much features as they can on a tiny motherboard. All right, so we'll just go with the top slots. We're not gonna go deep in there. Let's peel that off. That should be it, right? Yeah, there's nothing else on the bottom of that. So it's gonna close this back up. Don't forget to peel the sticker on both sides of the cover. I've done this so many times, and some of you actually even called me out in the comment section, so I do appreciate that. All right, let's figure out the AIO solution. So the Prime does support up to 360mm AIO, and I do have the 360 version of the Ryujin, but I kind of want to go with the 240 just so we do have that extra space to work with, just in case for clearance issues and potentially better cable routing, but we'll see what happens. If I have the space for it, I might as well just upgrade. So yeah, let's take these apart. I think they just pop off, yep. No thumb screws, no tools needed. I love it. I love this approach. And the top snaps off like that. Oh, this is beautiful. And then the back piece, look at that. This is it, this is the entire case, guys. I love the size of it. All right, so the power supply actually sits in the front here, and then we can install the radiator either on the bottom or the top. But I think the top's gonna be the best option because we can use the bottom slot for intake fans. We don't have any spot in the front for intake fans because it's covered by the power supply, so that does make the most sense. And then we do have a single 120mm fan in the back here for exhaust. So I think that's gonna be our best option. All right, so the fans will be set as exhaust. So we're gonna make sure that the back side is sitting right on the radiator. Also, if you guys want another easier way to remember how to position your fans, always remember the phrase, faces suck. So this is the face of the fan. This is the part of the fan that actually sucks in the air. So it's gonna suck in the air and pull it out from the back. So just remember the phrase, faces suck. As far as what they suck, we can leave that to your imagination. So one of the challenges of building inside of a small form factor case and going with an AIO specifically is dealing with the extra tube slack. Well, it's not really a challenge, but it's something you have to deal with regardless, because the tubes end up sticking out too much where it's coming in contact with the side panel because it's such a small case, or it's sagging down too much and it's coming in contact with the graphics card. Either way, it doesn't look good. So I'm trying to figure out what is the best solution for the AIO. I feel like even if I rotate it to the opposite side like this, it sags down even more. This is where the GPU sits, and obviously that just doesn't look good. And I don't want the tubes touching the top or the back plate of the graphics card. It's just gonna get that much hotter. I think the best option is to do this, but kind of push it all the way in here so the tubes kind of stretch out like this. I think this is the best possible solution. But then we have this empty space over here if I do that, so maybe I should have gone with a 360mm AIO. All right guys, unfortunately I can't do it. I can't go with that radiator because that extra space on the top is gonna bother the crap out of me. And I hate this about me. I hate always trying to be a perfectionist, and sometimes it's not a good thing, but I know I'm not gonna be happy with the build, and I hate taking shortcuts. So if I'm gonna do something, I gotta do it right and follow through, because at the end of the day, I gotta be happy with my content, especially if it's a PC build that's going to someone else. So I gotta do the right thing. So I'm going with a 360mm version of the same AIO. I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I would have easily finished the build, uploaded to YouTube. You guys would have watched it. 90% of you probably wouldn't even noticed or cared enough, and we all could have just moved on with our lives, and the world would have continued spinning. So, but you know, I wouldn't be happy with myself, is what I'm trying to say. All right, so the cooler has been upgraded from the 240, and honestly, I think this looks so much better, but I really wanna know what you guys think. Maybe I'm a little too hard on myself sometimes, and I'm just overreacting on even some of the smallest details, which really don't make a huge difference in the end, but I'm curious if you guys are the same or if it doesn't bother you as much as it does me. I'm really curious to hear your opinions on that. Now, if ASUS went with a small form factor power supply, I probably would have gone with that, but then again, with the parts that we're putting inside this case, it just makes sense going with a 1000-watt power supply instead. After all, we are throwing in a 12900K with an RTX 3080 with some overclocking as well, so you know, we do have the space for it. The case does support a full-size ATX power supply, so why not go with it? Now, a lot of you guys know that I always go with custom cables for all of my builds. That's another shortcut I don't like taking by sticking with the stock PSU cables. And also the custom cables look a lot nicer, right? They're braided, you got the cable combs, and you can pick whatever color scheme you want. But for this build, I think I'm gonna go with the stock cables because it's just not gonna be visible. While we got mesh panels all around, you're not gonna even see the cables through the panels. Believe it or not, I even have custom cables ordered for this build. I'll show you guys if you don't believe me. These are custom length. These are a lot shorter, so there's gonna be less cable slack in the back, but I kind of changed my mind last minute about the color scheme. I was gonna do a black and white build, but honestly, I don't want to throw any RGB in there, and the colors aren't gonna be visible at all. So I'm gonna save those cables for another build and just stick with the stock cables. I'm guessing to get access to the power supply. Okay, yep, that was exactly. Wait, what? It's still closed. How am I supposed to get in here? Aha, we got some stuff up here. Aha, so that is how you get access to that. Just takes 4 screws to get in there. I mean, it could have been worse, right? Wait, I didn't have to remove that. Oh, no way. I could have just removed these 2 screws in the front, which are holding the power supply bracket in place. Oh my God, yep. Well, I make the mistake so you guys don't have to, right? All right, so there are 2 ways how you can install the power supply. You can have it facing either direction because the bracket has a cutout in the back. So you can actually have the fan facing the inside of the case, which I think that's a great idea. We do have a mesh front panel, so I think it just makes sense positioning it towards the front so it can suck in cold fresh air from the outside and then blow it out from the top for exhaust. I think that is the most logical solution for this. So let's slide this on here. This is one of the downsides of going with a full ATX power supply in a small form factor case is the extra cable slack, unfortunately. Not much you can do with it. So cable management is going to be a bit challenging. So this is pretty cool. The case actually gives you the option of positioning the power supply a bit higher if you want. So there are 2 additional cutouts on the top, so you can actually lift the power supply, but unfortunately we do have a 360mm AIO on the top, and the tube's already really close to the power supply, so that is the highest we can go on the power supply. So you still have your AC power in the back here like you normally do in all cases, but because the power supply is in the front, they did provide an extension cable which will need to be plugged in to the power supply in the front. So we're gonna route it towards the back here and into the power supply, which is gonna be a bit challenging. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to plug it in this way. This is the only way it's gonna work, but we need to get we need to bend this cable, which I don't wanna do. Oh, you know what? We can do it. I mean, it's not bending too much. I'm not 100% comfortable with it, but it's not super tight. So I think we'll be fine. All right, guys, so the build is turning out really good, actually. And I'm kind of liking the old black stealthy look instead of the RGB look. So I don't think I want to use these fans anymore, you guys. This will be the only RGB products inside the case, and I can't do that. I can't do that to the build. I think I'm just gonna commit to the old black theme. So I'm gonna steal the 2 fans from the 240 AIO that I bought in earlier, and I'm gonna put those 2 on the bottom as intake. We can only fit 2 fans on the bottom anyways because of the cutouts. I don't know why I thought I could fit 3, but you know, we can only fit 2, which actually works out perfectly. So we'll have 2 fans in the bottom for intake, and then we have 4 exhaust. Well, if you count the power supply fan, that's another intake as well. So 3 intake and 4 exhaust. So it's a little bit of a neutral or negative pressure. But I mean, you've got mesh panels all around, so I don't think thermals are gonna be an issue. We'll test the thermals at the end of the build, of course. This went from a black and white RGB build to a black and RGB build and now to an anti-RGB build. So funny how things work sometimes. So at this point, you guys are probably wondering, where do you install your storage devices? Well, we're not doing any in this build, but if you were, you would install them on the bottom of the case. So you can actually install up to 2 hard drives or SSDs, and you can install 1 more hard drive or SSD in the front of the case, well, from the inside, using these cutouts. But you gotta make sure the power supply is actually towards the top slot. Otherwise, it's gonna interfere with the hard drive. All right, time to pop in the ASUS RTX 3080 Tough. I went with the Tough model specifically because it doesn't require triple 8-pin PCI connectors, so just less cables to deal with. All right, here it is, Micro-ATX build. I can technically grab it with one hand, but it's freaking heavy. I don't recommend that. Yeah, let's talk about it. All right guys, I do want to take a look at thermals and acoustics real quick. As usual, I do have the Heaven benchmark running in the background for about 30 minutes or so. All right, so I simplified the chart for you guys so it's easier to read. Starting with the GPU temps up top, MSI Afterburner has clocked the GPU peaking at 61 degrees Celsius. That is the max temp, but it is consistently staying between 59 and 60, as you guys can see through this chart over here. Scrolling down to the CPU temperature, this will obviously fluctuate a lot more than the graphics card. We are getting a max peak temp at 56 degrees Celsius, but it looks like it is averaging between 45 and 50. And last but not least, let's do a quick sound test. This is what the PC sounds like on full load. Here is a mouse click for reference. So yeah, very quiet, very cool PC. All right, so the build is done, and I gotta say, it was very easy to build inside this case, despite the size. I do love the extra space to install bigger components, like a 360mm radiator, an ATX power supply, and even a full-size graphics card. This allows you to put in high-end parts, but also get creative on how you wanna customize your own system. Hell, you can even do a nice custom water-cooled build in here, since you can install a second radiator on the bottom. I just didn't like the amount of space I was given for cable management in the back, because the back panel is also mesh. You can see right through the case and spot all the nasty cables in the back, especially if the case is against a white wall. The screen on the pump is sideways, which I don't care too much about since you can't even see it clearly through the mesh panel anyways, so I just ended up turning it off. It was messing with the whole anti-RGB vibes anyways, but yeah, overall, very solid Micro-ATX case from ASUS. I would give this a 4 out of 5. I think they even have a white version available, which will look really nice in a minimalistic white theme setup. Anyways, I'll drop a link to all the parts I used in the build down below, including the case if you guys want to check it out. Make sure to stick around to find out who I'm going to be giving this PC to in the next month or so. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more Micro-ATX builds on the channel, do let me know by tossing a like. And if there's a specific case you guys want me to build in next, preferably Mini ATX or Micro-ATX, let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys very soon in the next one.